Welcome to Movies with MacLean. I'm Andrew MacLean, and this is the weekly podcast where we talk all things movies, including the latest in-movie news. With me today is Matt Vorberger. Matt, how are you?
Doing great. Last few days of school have been pretty much over with, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Yep, I'm right there with you, and today our topic is coming-of-age movies.
Mm-hmm.
What an excellent time for us to be discussing the best coming-of-age movies. If you are watching this podcast, you probably know why. So we're just going to jump into the movie news. A couple of news stories this week. First, we have some casting in New Mutants. We have casting announcements. Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones, you may know her as Arya, has been cast as Wolfsbane, and Anya Taylor-Joy from The Witch and Split. Is cast as Magic. So, Matt, do you like these castings? Do you think that these are good choices? Do you know a lot about these characters? What do you think?
Anya Taylor-Joy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I saw her in Split and I really enjoyed her performance there, and I've only heard good things about The Witch, so I'm really happy about that, and I've heard she, looks a lot like the character, so hopefully she can pull off a good performance. On the other hand, I don't watch Game of Thrones, so I'm not 100% on that casting, but, you can share what you think.
Yeah. Big Game of Thrones fan here. Maisie Williams is fantastic, and I think it's a good choice because I haven't read the New Mutants run, but I know that they're kind of like teenagers, I think.
Yeah.
And she's 19 or 20, but she can play 15 or 16. She does that pretty good on Game of Thrones, and she's a badass. So definitely good pick there. And I haven't seen Split or The Witch, but Magic is probably the only one of these characters that I actually know anything about because she's been in some of the more recent X-Men stories that I've tried to get into.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a really cool character. She's got this sword that traps people's souls or something like that, and she can teleport to the limbo dimension.
Okay.
So
doesn't she also have a dragon or something like that?
She might. I'm not too well versed on all of the New Mutants powers, but I'm just saying from what I've seen in Magic, she's really cool, and I'd like to see her powers explored as well as all these other New Mutants. I think this could be a fresh take on the X-Men, sort of, with a lot of new characters that the hardcore comic book fans know, but then it's new to the mainstream audience, sort of like Guardians. I thought all these new characters that have cool powers that are awesome that we haven't seen on the big screen yet. So I'm really excited to explore these other characters that I don't know too well.
I mean, I'm happy they're taking a new route because it almost seemed that they were just going to repeat the Phoenix storyline, which I mean I think they.
It looks like
they're
going to. Still.
But it's getting repetition. It's just starting to feel the same. They did that less than 10 years ago, 11.
Yeah,
okay.
But still.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I guess I saw an animatic where they were fighting this demon bear or something.
Okay.
It looked pretty cool, so I'm interested.
Yeah, it's what the X-Men universe needs for sure. So the next piece of news, we have War for the Planet of the Apes. The final trailer was released. I'm glad to see that they're calling this the final trailer. Only one teaser and 2 trailers, and the movie comes out in about 2 months. So glad they're not overdoing it with the trailers. But what do you think of this final trailer for War for the Planet of the Apes, Matt?
Well, I mean, I've really enjoyed Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and Rise of the Planet of the Apes, so I can't be more excited for this movie. It just looks super intense. I'm really interested in some of the storylines they're going with, some of the apes are fighting with the humans and stuff like that, so I'm just really hyped for this movie.
Yeah, I didn't like this trailer as much as the other ones.
Okay.
And I think part of the reason why is they're really making Woody Harrelson a strong villain. It almost seems black and white, and I think that was what was really good about Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Was there was these characters like Gary Oldman, who's not a true villain, not a true hero, and it's
doing it
you
for
don't
his family kind of thing.
and it's you sort of root for both sides. I'm worried that this movie is going to be just rooting for the apes is what they want you to do.
Yeah.
From at least that's what the trailers have shown. So I don't know if this can be as good as Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, but I do think, it's going to be a awesome action movie. I mean, these movies have just incredible, unique action sequences, and
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to get more of that. So I am very excited to see the movie, but I don't know if it can live up to Dawn of the Planet of the Apes for me.
Yeah, I mean, because Dawn had the bad, quote unquote, but bad human, like in Gary Oldman, and then they also had some of the good humans, and then they had good apes in Caesar, and then they also had like bad apes in Koba. So I'm not sure what direction they're going to be going, but I'm really excited.
Yeah, that comes out July 14th,
Okay.
I think. So those are the only news stories we have today. We're going to move into our discussion of coming-of-age movies. Now, this is any movie about the adolescence, the period of high school, whenever, around that time. Just stories about people growing up, discovering themselves. These can be dramas, these can be comedies, and we have a lot of both of those. So, the first coming-of-age movie we're going to talk about is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Matt, what's your reaction to Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Okay, so Ferris Bueller's Day Off is like on my most recent top 10 films of all time. It's like it's on there. I'm like readjusting right now, but it was on my last one, and I really, really love this movie. Just Matthew Broderick, just amazing performance, and just like that guy that like is incredible, and like just like I don't know, it's just like a really fun adventure with these high schoolers and like the different like characteristics that they each have, and it's just like a really fun time for me.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. I haven't watched it in a few years, but every time I go back and revisit it, it's always still just as funny.
Yeah.
A few scenes that stand out, like Mr. Rooney's watching the baseball game, and he like just misses when Ferris catches it, and then I think Charlie Sheen's cameo is a highlight in there when he's
funny.
like, "What are you in for?" and he's like, "I'm in for drugs," and he's like, "You want some drugs?" I love Charlie Sheen's cameo in that.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably my favorite of the John Hughes 80s movies.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would have to say the same, yeah.
My one negative is that, like, they're all clearly, like, 25.
Yeah,
high schoolers.
I mean, that's a problem that you're going to see in a lot of coming-of-age movies, but I feel like I can overlook it just if the story's really good, which it obviously is. And I also love, like, how it has great humor, but then it also, like, goes into some deep stuff, like with the father-son relationship after the car crashes. And he's just like, no, I need to, like, stand up for myself to my dad, and it's just really powerful there, and I really enjoyed that.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I wouldn't have remembered to say that. Alright, the next film we're going to discuss, much more recent movie, Boyhood. I just watched Boyhood, and I'm a big fan of this movie. I know you are too, so how about you start us off?
Okay, so I don't think I watched it in theaters, but I watched it like really soon after it came out, and I really enjoyed it. And I watched it like a few times like right after it came out, and then it was on Netflix like a month or two ago, and I watched it again, and I just really enjoyed the movie. It's just like an amazing like film experience, because it's actually like, especially like the experiment that they did with him like growing up and stuff like that. Like that actor could have just like become a drug addict and like completely messed up the entire film, like through the 12 years that they filmed.
Sort of like the character.
Yeah, exactly. But like more hardcore than that. Like you get like Hollywood like completely gone off the chain and like just like ruin the entire
thing. It was a bad joke.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It was good. No, but I just really enjoyed like the performances were really good, and just like the deep stuff it went into with like abusive relationships with his stepdad, and like just like his relationship with his father. Ethan Hawke did a really good job, and like just like the different experiences that he's gone through, like different cities, and just like moving around his entire life.
Yeah, and all that's like really important, but like I thought the coolest part of the movie was just seeing like all the stuff that I grew up with, like watching
Game
that.
Boy, Wii, like the progression of like different stuff like that.
Yeah, Wii boxing,
exactly.
And then like they're going to pick up Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince at the library, and they're all dressed up. Like I remember that happening, not for Half-Blood Prince, but for the final one for Deathly Hallows. And then like they're having a conversation about a Star Wars game, but I assume it's Force Unleashed because of like the time period.
And I think they mentioned Ethan Hawke's character. The guy mentions like, they can't do anything after.
It's funny.
Episode 6, which is really funny now.
And they probably didn't know at the time, because
exactly.
that was probably filmed in like 2008 or something. But we've said this about Richard Linklater before, is that he makes you believe you're watching real people.
Yeah.
And I think that this film does a great job with that. And it's really impressive what they pulled off filming it over those 12 years. And you got to think, like, Ethan Hawke, he's in a lot of stuff so he probably filmed like 5 movies in between scenes of this. Like,
yeah.
Like, he filmed his scenes for the beginning of the movie, then he was in, like, 5 other movies, then he's filmed his scenes for the second act of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really impressive how you see the progression of his character.
Definitely.
And you see him change, but you still believe it's the same guy.
Yeah.
So that's, like, so impressive that Ethan Hawke
Definitely.
pulled that off. And I know the mom got, like, she might have won.
I think she won the Academy Award in 2014.
And Ethan Hawke, he wasn't nominated, but I mean, I think he could have been. I thought he gave a really good performance. And, yeah, I think that the 2 kids both were good enough over the course of 12 years, which, you know, like you said, you take that risk of you don't know how this kid's going to turn out.
Exactly.
But now to talk about some of the important stuff, like, it really shows the perspective of a kid who's been in, like, a lot of different home environments, but has never really had a true home. And we see, like, how that shapes him and how he acts around his peers, like, when he walks into, like, the new school after they, like, rushed out of the house from the abusive relationship. And we see that with the daughter, too, who's like, I'm in dirty clothes and I'm going to school because, like, they can't go back for her clothes. It's just a small thing like that, but that really affects kids. And, I mean, we don't know everyone's situation, but I'm sure there's people in our school who have been through something just like that. So I think it's really important because Mason's life experiences, like Mason the character, probably mirror the life experience of a lot of people that we might know or that might be watching that movie. So I think it's really powerful.
Yeah, and also that we get to experience that, like even something even close to, like, something that someone that might be experiencing something like that in real life, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Okay, and then also, I think there were a lot of small things, like the Hispanic, like, house, like, he was working on the house, and then he was at the restaurant at the end, and then...
I think that was just a cool thing where they were like, hey, we found this guy who was in the movie 6 years ago, let's put him back in again.
No, and then, wait, there was one more, or there was something similar to it. It was like, oh, shoot. The drug addict, friend of the father who becomes, like, a band thing. I thought that was a really cool progression of his character that you didn't get to see, but you also, like, it's left ambiguous what's in between, but it's really cool to see, like, them progress, like in very small amounts, but then everyone else progress. Like, you get to see, like, incredible amounts of detail in, like, the main characters. But, yeah.
I think it's a film that everyone should check out, definitely.
Definitely. Also, my cousin looks just like the main character.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's super weird.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think it's especially cool for us because that kid's, like, 3 years older than us, so we pretty much grew up in the same time.
Yeah.
So it's just especially a cool experience for us. The one negative, I think it's a little too long. 2 hours, 45 minutes. It could have been 2 hours, but, you know.
Yeah, I get it.
It's still enjoyable, and because it feels like you're watching real people, I can still get through that.
Definitely.
Next movie we're going to talk about, more lighthearted, The Goonies. I think this is classic. A lot of people hold close to their heart. I actually have not seen The Goonies, so you're on your own here.
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw The Goonies when I was a kid, and I feel like I've seen it a few times, but it's still been a little while. Whenever I think of The Goonies, I just think, like, of a classic film that's just, like, a fun adventure film for, like, little kids, and it's just, like, I don't know, really cool, because it's, like, an adventure of kids, like, almost a kid's imagination going extremely wild with, like, these guys that are, like murderers, and then, like, a guy with a disfigured face and finding a treasure, and it's just, like, a really fun time with, like, a bunch of memorable moments, like, the truffle shuffle or something. I don't know, I'm not sure.
That sounds right.
Yeah, the dance that the Chunk does, and then Josh Brolin's character as the older brother is really cool to see the relationship between him and the other kids. Yeah. I mean, I don't have a ton to say about it other than mostly praise, because I don't really have anything negative to say about a movie that I haven't seen in a little while, but all I can remember is positive things.
Yeah, I definitely, that's one that I should have seen that I haven't yet. Alright, next movie is another one that I haven't seen, more recent one, The Perks of Being a Wallflower. So, I don't know too much about this one, so if you could just give me and the audience a little bit of a synopsis and why you enjoy it so much. Emma Watson, I know that.
I might be wrong on a few of these, because I don't remember every detail from it. I should rewatch it, though, because I really enjoyed it when I watched it. it's similar to Boyhood, but it mainly focuses on like one trauma to the main character over the course of the film. But like he's put in a new situation with like a new school, and like these kids like take him in, played by Ezra Miller and Emma Watson, and I think it's just like them showing him around, and I think they're seniors and he's a freshman, which he does not look like a freshman at all. He looks like a senior in college, but
Okay.
like you said earlier. But yeah, it's like Perks of Being a Wallflower is, I think, brought up at a dance because like he's just standing at the wall while everyone's like dancing in the center, and I don't know. And then he builds these close relationships with these friends and stuff like that. And then you find out that he's gone through some stuff in his life that's like pretty intense. That like I don't want to spoil it, but it's pretty out, like not out there, but like it's a very serious topic, I guess. And I don't know. I don't have a ton to say about it other than that. And then
I've only heard good things, so I
Yeah.
definitely need to watch it, and I probably will watch it because, I mean, it's not that hard to get me to watch a movie with Emma Watson.
Mhm.
And I know she was like 20 at the time, so it's probably, she probably looked.
She looks younger than she like does now. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Has that kid is Logan Lerman, right? Has he been in anything else? Because I hear that name a lot.
Jackson. Percy Jackson movies he was in. The
that
two
was
of
terrible.
those. It wasn't.
I hated
They
those.
weren't great. I love the books though. Trying to remember some other stuff that he was in. I can't at the moment, but he's
I'll
definitely
look
been
it
in
up.
some other stuff. But yeah, I think he's a pretty good actor otherwise. Like he does a good job in Perks of Being a Wallflower, and I feel like he's done good stuff in other movies too.
Okay.
I just can't remember right now.
Okay. Well, thank you for your contribution there. I definitely need to watch Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Mm-hmm.
Next movie, going back to the 80s, we have The Breakfast Club. So I haven't watched it in a while.
Yeah.
But you know, I never really enjoyed it as much as Ferris Bueller. I think I need to revisit it now, having like been through high school. I just think you kind of have to have experienced a lot of that to get the humor in the movie. So it's definitely one I need to revisit. But you know, it's a good high school movie that includes like both drama and comedy. Like blends those pretty well. So what's your reaction to Breakfast Club?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like I haven't seen it in a while, and if I probably watched it today, I'd get a lot more of the like humor and jokes in it and stuff like that. But I thought it was just like a really fun time, just like that afternoon with like the cliche students essentially, but it like dives deeper into like not them just being a cliche, but like character arcs, like the main
Emilio Estevez?
No, the other guy, not the nerd though.
Oh.
I don't know. The guy who's like kind of the badass or whatever.
Judd something.
Yeah.
Judd something. I don't
His
know.
relationship with his father, and then the girl's relationship with her mother, and just like the relationship between Emilio Estevez and the other girl is
Judd
interesting.
Nelson.
Yeah. Judd Nelson.
Okay.
And yeah, I think it's really interesting film, and like their relationship with their incredibly aggressive teacher or principal or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know a guy who like tried to be like Judd Nelson's character all the time. Got really annoying, but yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming it would be.
Yeah. You know, I don't remember it too much, so I can't speak too much to it, but
I mean, pretty much anything John Hughes for me is just like good off the bat. Like it's just like automatically good, but then the story and like the performances and like the character arcs and stuff like that is what makes it great, or makes it like beyond a great film, or like even better than a film. I don't know.
well, he takes these simple stories and
Yeah.
he just makes you care about the characters so much.
Yeah.
Which that's really impressive, and that's hard to pull off.
It is.
So let's move on to even more serious film, Dead Poets Society. Now, I don't want to talk about the end just yet, but we can like spoil it like a little bit and give a warning.
Okay.
So I think this is a movie that like everybody needs to see like at least once.
Yeah.
And Robin Williams is just the perfect choice.
Definitely agree.
Because he's able to inspire these students and get them to care about like poetry, and even get me as a viewer to care about it, which I shouldn't and wouldn't care about that. And you know, like we said with some of these other movies, we know that there's kids who go through some of the things that these kids go through in this movie. Like Neil with his parents who have like pretty much complete control over his life.
Yeah.
He feels like he has no like freedom to make
yeah,
choices.
It's not his life. Is what like. He feels like they're living his life for him, and he doesn't want that.
And then you have Todd, who's like the opposite. Like he just wants his parents to notice him. There's definitely kids like that.
Yeah.
That we don't know about that, but that goes on. So I think it's an important movie. Before we get into the spoilers, what's your thoughts on Dead Poets Society?
So I've seen it I've seen the entire film, but mainly in parts. Like we watched like the first half in English last year, and like then we finished it in the next few days or whatever. But I just really enjoy just like also like the characterization of the students from beginning to end, and just like how they become from like immature in regards to like the class and whatnot, and to like the point at the end where they're all sitting on their desks and stuff like that. And just Robin Williams' performance is just amazing, because like if anyone's going to be that amazing teacher that changes your life, it's going to be him. And I just thought he did a really good job pulling that off. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So
okay, we will get into the spoilers of this movie now. So if you haven't seen Dead Poets Society, spoiler warning. So we see Neil commit suicide in the end of the movie, and I think it's a really powerful scene. Really hard to watch when like his dad like finds him, and you know, obviously it was a selfish decision, and there's always other options. But I think it's interesting to see how that affects the other students, and sort of how they almost like how their relationships deteriorate because of what happened. So what do you think about that, the ending to the movie?
Yeah, I mean, it's something definitely really powerful, and that most people go through, because like throughout our high school career it's happened a few times.
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah, and it's just, it's a problem that's definitely there, and not a lot of people talk about it, and it's good for like an incredibly good movie to talk about that and like address it and say how, and just like the situation and the story that it's within, and like the negative aspects that the decision brings to like the entire story, helps to like show it as like a completely no option, like it's not a good thing for anyone, including like the person that does it and stuff like that. So I think it's a really good like way of using it in a film, respectively. Yeah,
and I think it does show like both sides, like, hey, don't treat people this way, and then also don't commit suicide because these are the consequences. So that's obviously very important. So I think we've said enough on Dead Poets Society. Let's move on to The Way, Way Back. Now, this is one that I haven't seen, but I know you really like it.
Yeah, I really like it, yeah.
Same with Perks of Being a Wallflower. Just give me the rundown.
Okay, so this was also on my most recent top 10 films of all time list. I just really enjoyed it, because it's like essentially starts off with this kid, and he's like, just like he just seems like really depressed at the beginning of the film, and you don't really realize why, and then as the story progresses, you realize it's because his I think mom's boyfriend, or it might be his stepdad, played by Steve Carell, does a really good job of being like the complete opposite, literally complete opposite, polar opposite of what he does in the office. He's just like a complete asshole. He like cheats on his mom, and and so essentially that happens, and you figure that out. But like they're going on vacation, and it's essentially him on that vacation meeting the neighbor's daughter, who he has a crush on, and then they like start to build a relationship and stuff like that. And he starts working at the, I think it's water park with Sam Rockwell and Maya Rudolph, and they just have like really good humor between them, and just like a fun experience there, and that it changes his life essentially, just like in such a short amount. Like I think it's like the summer or maybe spring break, I'm not sure exactly, but like he just like builds an incredible friendship with this guy, and it's like almost like a father-son experience. And,
okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and they do a really good job, and like at the end he like does this really cool thing. I don't want to spoil anything, but like it's just like it made him a better person, just like to be with Sam Rockwell's character and like experience all that summer, and like just be with his family and stuff.
Okay. Yeah. You sold me.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it to anyone listening.
All right. Good to know. Sorry I can't contribute to that one. I feel like
no,
you're carrying a lot of the load today. I know this is your your type of movie. Definitely.
You can talk about some of the actors in it. So Sam Rockwell, my Rudolph from SNL.
Well, you
Steve
say
Carell.
you say Steve Carell's an asshole, but he's not in The Office. I have to disagree. I think Michael Scott.
Okay,
he's a lovable asshole, but he's definitely an asshole.
Okay, he's like an asshole, but like in a mean way.
Okay.
Like a really mean way.
All right. But yeah, I definitely like everything you said there, so I'll check that one out. Let's move on to Sing Street. Just came out last year. I'm a huge fan of this movie, and I talked about it a little bit on the top 10 movies of last year, but you got here for that one, so I'll give my quick, 30 seconds later, but what are your thoughts on Sing Street?
Okay, so I first heard about this on the Schmoes podcast, and I was really interested in it, and then it came on Netflix like a few months later, so I was really hyped to watch it because they all said good things about it, and I really had high expectations for it, and they were pretty much all, met, because, the performances of, all unknowns, except for the brother character.
Yeah.
And the dad, sorry.
Peter Baelish.
Yeah. All of, unknown, practically unknown to me, I guess, were incredibly good. All the kids, the girl, the main character, just, really good performances. The kids at school, just, side characters just did really good jobs. And I thought it was a really incredible story between just, the camaraderie of them and, his relationship with the girl and his relationship with his brother and family and stuff like that. I thought it was really good.
Yep, you covered everything, and a lot of that's the same stuff that I said, because I think we both really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say is it's got great music, great characters, awesome story about brotherhood, and then last point is it's the best movie on Netflix that you probably haven't seen.
Okay.
So go watch it on Netflix, because most people have Netflix and you probably haven't seen it. So definitely go watch Sing Street if I could recommend one of these movies we talk about today. Since we have a little extra time, I know you wanted to talk Dope, and then we'll have one more movie to finish this off. So
okay.
I also haven't seen Dope, but you can give your rundown on Dope. I know a little bit about the story of Dope. So
okay.
So you don't have to explain all that. Just why do you enjoy Dope so much?
I thought it was just a really interesting and out there story, but it also seems very relatable. The actors in it do a really good job. Pretty much all unknowns at the time, I guess, except for A$AP Rocky and a few actors, but mostly unknowns. And I thought it was just really interesting stories and different characters, and the storyline is just really fun and interesting, and and then when it gets to the halfway mark and it's still funny, but then it gets into a lot more deeper stuff with his character and his relationship with the surround his community around him, and just I thought it was really good.
Okay.
So what have you heard about it?
I've heard the kid gets into a bad situation with the drug, other kids dealing drugs or something like that.
Yeah.
He's trying to get out of that because he's actually a good kid. And I've heard a lot of great performances from not well known actors, and a lot of great comedic performances. So, it's one that's on my radar that I need to get to, that I haven't hit yet.
Yeah. So he's essentially applying to Harvard too. So at the end is his application process and that cool thing. So I thought that was really interesting. Plot point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright, last movie is Stand By Me. So this is a great story about a group of misfits who all have different home issues, and they go on this adventure to find the dead body of another kid that they knew. So I think that this is an incredible film, another one that probably everybody should see at least once. The music and the colors used, just the way it's shot, really gives it the feel that makes you think it's occurring in the 50s. I think it's always impressive when they make you buy that it's in a different era.
Yeah.
Kiefer Sutherland plays the villain.
Classic role.
He's so great as the bully. You really root for him to just get hit by the train.
Yeah.
And he looks a lot like Donald Sutherland, with the beard, because he doesn't really look like his dad that much, I don't think now, but when he was younger and he had the beard, I think he looks a lot like him. But what are some of your thoughts on Stand By Me?
Yeah, I mean, this is a classic film. I probably saw this movie when I was a little too young, but I used to always just watch it every couple months or so. It was one of my favorite movies growing up. just like really good performances for such young actors. I thought it was really cool because they're inappropriate, but that's how little like kids their age are, and like I thought it was really realistic in that way, and like the like relation or like the actual what's it called?
Adventure.
No, but like the relationship between the actors, like the
chemistry
between the actors and stuff like that was really good, and it made you believe that they're like really best friends and stuff like that. I thought that was their performances in that sense were really good.
Yeah, and I think like we've said, it feels like a real struggle that they're going through. Like with Gordy, how he's mourning the loss of his brother, and his parents can't really handle that, and so they sort of ignore him. So I'm sure that's something that some kids go through, and some kids watching the movie have gone through, so it's powerful to see that play out. And then Chris, who's struggling with being labeled as trash because that's how his family is, and how he finds it hard to escape that. I just think that, you know, Stephen King is such a great storyteller, and it's impressive that they did such a good adaptation of Stephen King's story. I think he said that's one of his favorite adaptations, along with Shawshank.
That's interesting.
So yeah, and he just creates such memorable and unique characters. And then there's like some humor mixed in there when Gordy's telling the story about Lardass.
I was thinking about that.
It's a lighthearted moment that takes away from the tension of it. Did you have a whole lot else on?
No, I mean I just really enjoy this movie, and just like the adventure that kids just want to go on to escape like the problems in their life at the time and stuff like that. I thought it was just a really fun time.
Alright, well, that is our show today. I want to thank everyone for watching, and thank you, Matt, for coming back.
Thank you for having me.
It's always a good time when Matt's here.
Yeah.
And next week we have a review of Alien Covenant. So that comes out in theaters tomorrow night. We're going to do a non-spoiler review followed by a spoiler review. So if you've been watching this podcast, you know how that typically goes. So see the movie this weekend if you want to see the spoiler review, and come back and check us out next week. We will be back. Thank you.